How to formulate hypotheses for agriculture-based research. Formulating a hypothesis is a critical step in agricultural research that can significantly influence the outcomes of experiments and the advancement of agricultural practices. A well-crafted hypothesis not only guides the research process, but also helps in identifying relationships between variables, predicting outcomes, and ultimately contributing to the body of knowledge in agriculture. In this presentation, we will delve into the essential steps for formulating a robust hypothesis tailored for agriculture-based research, ensuring that researchers can effectively address pressing challenges in the field. Understanding the research problem. The first step in formulating a hypothesis is to thoroughly understand the research problem at hand. This requires a keen observation of existing agricultural practices, challenges faced by farmers, and gaps in current knowledge. For instance, if a researcher is interested in the effects of a specific fertilizer on crop yield, they must first investigate the existing literature on fertilizer types, their chemical compositions, and their impact on various crops. By immersing oneself in previous studies and current agricultural trends, researchers can identify unanswered questions or areas that require further exploration. This foundational understanding is vital, as it informs the direction of the hypothesis. A well-defined research problem not only narrows the focus, but also ensures that the hypothesis is relevant and significant to the agricultural community. Once the problem is identified, researchers should articulate it clearly. This articulation serves as a basis for developing specific hypotheses that can be tested through experimentation. For example, instead of a vague statement like, "Fertilizers affect crops," a more precise problem statement could be, "How does organic fertilizer impact the yield of tomato plants compared to synthetic fertilizers?" Crafting a testable hypothesis. With a clear research problem in mind, the next step is to craft a testable hypothesis. A good hypothesis should be specific, measurable, and falsifiable. It should predict an outcome based on the relationship between independent and dependent variables. In agricultural research, independent variables might include different types of fertilizers, irrigation methods, or pest control strategies, while dependent variables could be crop yield, plant health, or soil quality. For example, a researcher might hypothesize, tomato plants treated with organic fertilizer will yield 20% more fruit than those treated with synthetic fertilizer. This hypothesis is specific. It focuses on tomato plants, measurable. The yield can be quantified, and falsifiable. It can be tested through experimentation. Moreover, it's crucial to ensure that the hypothesis aligns with scientific principles and existing knowledge. Researchers should avoid making overly broad claims or assumptions that cannot be substantiated through empirical evidence. Instead, they should focus on creating hypotheses that contribute to existing knowledge while being grounded in scientific reasoning. Designing the experiment. Once a hypothesis has been formulated, the next step is to design an experiment that will effectively test it. This involves selecting appropriate methodologies, determining sample sizes, and establishing controls to ensure reliable results. In agricultural research, field trials are often employed to assess the validity of hypotheses under real-world conditions. Researchers must decide on the experimental design, whether it will be a randomized controlled trial, a split plot design, or another method suitable for their specific study. Each design has its own advantages and limitations. Thus, careful consideration is necessary to ensure that it aligns with the research objectives. Additionally, researchers should consider factors such as environmental conditions, crop varieties, and potential confounding variables that could influence results. By meticulously planning the experiment and controlling for external factors, researchers can enhance the reliability of their findings and draw more accurate conclusions regarding their hypotheses. Analyzing results and drawing conclusions. After conducting experiments and collecting data, Researchers must analyze their results to determine whether their hypotheses are supported or refuted. Statistical analysis plays a vital role in this process, allowing researchers to interpret data objectively and assess the significance of their findings. In agriculture-based research, it's essential to communicate results clearly and effectively. This includes not only presenting data, but also discussing its implications for agricultural practices and future research. If the hypothesis is supported, researchers should explore how these findings can be applied in real-world scenarios to improve agricultural productivity or sustainability. Conversely, if the hypothesis is not supported, it's equally important to analyze why this may have occurred. Was there an error in methodology? Were there unforeseen variables that influenced outcomes? Understanding these aspects can provide valuable insights for future research endeavors and contribute to refining hypotheses in subsequent studies. Conclusion. Thus, formulating a hypothesis for agriculture-based research is a systematic process that begins with understanding the research problem and culminates in rigorous experimentation and analysis. By following these steps, defining a clear problem statement, crafting a testable hypothesis, designing an effective experiment, and analyzing results, researchers can contribute significantly to agricultural science. The insights gained from well-formulated hypotheses not only advance our understanding of agricultural practices, but also pave the way for innovative solutions to meet global food security challenges. Embracing this structured approach will empower researchers to make meaningful contributions to the field of agriculture and foster sustainable practices for future generations.